Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Suck Films, and today we're breaking down the updated Season 3.5 counter guide for Marvel Rivals. Now this guide will cover two key things: the best direct hero counters for every single character in the game, whether it's a Vanguard, a Duelist, or even a Strategist. And the second thing we're going to be talking about is the strategy-based counters you can use when the quote-unquote perfect pick is banned. That way, no matter the matchup or situation, you'll always have a way to deal with every hero. While you're at it, don't forget to hit that smash button, and don't forget to subscribe so you can see new and exciting content for Marvel Rivals and other games every other day. We're going for 20,000 subscribers before the end of September, so make sure to hop in. But without further ado, let's dive straight in. Now, kicking things off, we have none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Doctor Strange. Now, when we look at our first key topic, what are the best direct counters? Of course, Wolverine is going to be Strange's worst nightmare, especially after he uses his Cloak of Levitation, because you have to remember that the shield doesn't block melee damage. Hulk, Magik, and Iron Fist also bypass the shield completely. No shield essentially equates to no survival. Now, if some of those characters are banned for whatever reason, you could always go for shield shredder characters like Punisher, like Star-Lord, to quickly eliminate, or even a Squirrel Girl to quickly eliminate Strange's shield. Now let's say you don't have those Strange counters on your team, or they might not be the best optimal pick in comparison to the rest of the enemy team. For strategy, you want to focus him first. As a DPS, your job is to delete Strange before he can snowball the fight. Whether it's quickly destroying his shield or forcing out the Cloak of Levitation, once those two survivability abilities are gone from Strange, he's pretty much helpless. Now, another crucial and major part of Doctor Strange is his Eye of Agamotto, or his ultimate ability. His Eye of Agamotto has a loud sound cue and obvious animation. You want to use displacement tools like Invisible Woman's push or pull to interrupt him or burst him down before it goes off. You can also Lunar Snow freeze him. You have to remember he's not CC immune or crowd control immune when he's using his ultimate, so any form of crowd control can easily negate that or put it down to 50%. Now, one pro tip is to learn Strange's favorite teleport routes. If you can predict where he'll portal, your own Strange can cut it off easily and you get easy shutdowns, or you just know where to set up for the rest of your team before the portal comes through. And that's essentially how you can counter Doctor Strange, especially in Season 3.5. Now we move on to our green lovable giant, Hulk. Now, Hulk feels sometimes unkillable, especially a very good Hulk player, but he honestly has some pretty clear weaknesses. So your best friend or one of your best counters going against a Hulk is crowd control. It's honestly his kryptonite. Whether it's a Hela stun, Luna Snow, Snowball Freeze, a Peni Parker with the web, slingshot, whatever it's called, can lock him down. Iron Fist and Wolverine also chunk through his giant health bar and can easily chase and mark him. Now, some more direct counters are counters that have bullet spam. Characters like Winter Soldier, you can spam 3 shots, rotate your abilities, and keep spamming him down. Punisher is another great counter to him, as well as Star-Lord. Believe it or not, Star-Lord has a decent magazine clip but can easily shred down his health bar. Now, when it comes to actual strategy, Hulk almost always dives your backline. Let's be honest, he's a diving Vanguard. He's going to go into your backline, he's going to cause chaos. So what you need to do is don't ignore him. You need to peel for your strategists, peel for your supports, and punish his tunnel vision when he overcommits. The second he no longer has his bubble, which is a shift, you can immediately capitalize that and just force him into Bruce Banner mode. The quicker you deal with him in the backline, the quicker it is for your team to steamroll the enemies. And I'm excited to share that this video is sponsored by Control, a delicious protein-packed snack or just a tasty way to fuel your day. Control has you covered. And personally, I'm all about their peanut butter pieces cookies. Seriously, they taste amazing and they fit perfectly into my daily routine. Whether it's a quick shake in the morning or a protein-packed snack in the afternoon, Control's products are both macro-friendly and ridiculously tasty. And now they've got 2 new must-try products. First off is their Monster Cookie, a soft-baked protein cookie loaded with white and milk chocolate chips plus crushed cookie pieces, and it tastes ridiculously amazing. And if you're more of a protein shake friend, they have a Paradise Potion Shake. It's a refreshing mix of sweet coconut and tart pineapple blended into and it's honestly fantastic. Now, Control's snacks and shakes are designed to fuel active lifestyles, whether you're hitting the gym, gaming for hours, or just need a convenient, nutritious option. If you're looking for your next go-to protein shake, check out Control's website using the link in description or scan the QR code on screen. And don't forget, use code DUCK at checkout to save 10% on order. But anyways, back to the video. Now moving on to our next Vanguard, we have Magneto. Now Magneto is arguably one of, if not the strongest Vanguard right now, does tons of damage, he has a ton of survivability, and has an insane ultimate. Now, when we think of some of our best counters for this character, we think of characters that can shoot through shields. So this is going to be your Wolverine. He can isolate him and break healer line of sight. Now you might be thinking, well, he just bubbles himself after you grab him. Well, yes, that certainly is true, but the whole theory around picking Wolf to counter Magneto is to grab him and take him out of position to where he has to use his bubble, then he no longer has a bubble anymore, and you can easily shred him after his shield is gone as well. It's kind of like a battle of attrition when it comes to countering Magneto. You can also counter him with Winter Soldier because after Magneto uses his shift, his big iron curtain, you can immediately hook him because it's going to be on a cooldown. He can't instant repop it, unlike a character like Doctor Strange. Magneto is just one of those characters that is so hard to counter because he has everything in his kit that keeps him alive. He does a ton of damage. All I can really say is if you can get him isolated, that is going to be your biggest bet at getting rid of the Magneto on the enemy team. Now, in terms of strategy, the biggest strategy that comes to mind is when he uses his ultimate, Meteor M, which I like to call the giant meatball. You have two answers when you're trying to get rid of it. The first one is to, of course, break line of sight, or the second he uses it if you're playing Punisher and the rest of your team. If everybody shoots the second he ults while your Punisher is also ulting, you can quickly destroy it. But if you can't destroy it, this don't shoot if you're playing Punisher and you're ulting. This don't shoot at all. Make sure that the Meteor M has no charge when he tries to throw it at you, and pray that your own Magneto is a god and bubbles you or shields it. Basically, at the end of the day, when it comes to going against Magneto and he's using his ultimate, the real answer is the prey. Now, sometimes Thor can be super annoying to play against, said no one really ever. Thor is a really easy character to counter as there's just a whole bunch of characters in the game that just bully him, unfortunately. Your best direct counters are going to be a character like Wolverine. You want to wait for Thor's charge spin, then kidnap him when he's drained. You can use Punisher Shotgun or just Punisher in general to completely shred down Thor. Peni Parker, Squirrel Girl, crowd control shuts him down extremely hard, as well as a Luna Snow Freeze, Mantis Sleep, anything like that. Hawkeye is also another exceptional counter to this character because he does ranged burst damage, which makes him fold before he even gets close. Thor pretty much falls over relatively easily, especially when you have the right counters. A character like Star-Lord is another exceptional counter. Look, there's a long list of characters that counter him, but I'm only touching on the few strongest options. Now, our strategy tip when it comes to dealing with Thor is that you want to keep your distance, you want to apply crowd control effects, and you want to punish him when he wastes his cooldowns. After that, it's kind of like shooting a fish in a barrel. Now, Groot in Season 3.5 is getting played a lot more now, with his new team up with Mantis with his healing wall, and just with his buffs in general. This character is very fun to play and can be tricky to play against. Again, great wall utility and has a massive health pool. A good Groot player can completely control a match if left untouched. So what are our best counters? Well, the best direct counters are going to be Wolverine. Again, it's been through and through since the dawn of Season 1. Wolverine into Groot is always the best option at countering Groot. Now, besides that, we also have flyers. Whether it's Storm, Iron Man, Human Torch, Ultron, they're all very strong counters into a character like Groot who can just easily go over his walls, negate that wall, and just do a billion damage to him. Following that, characters like Punisher and Winter Soldier are amazing at countering Groot. He has a massive hitbox, and that pretty much gives you free damage. You could also throw characters like Moon Knight and Squirrel Girl into the mix as well, as they do a ton of damage, whether it's to the walls or to Groot himself. Now, if you're having trouble with the walls, an anti-wall tip is that Punisher shreds his walls, instantly making him one of the most reliably anti-Groot picks in the entire game, even to this date in Season 3.5. You can also throw Star-Lord into the bunch as well, but I would prefer if you just pick Punisher if they're playing a Groot and he's completely terrorizing your lobby. Now, Peni Parker can be quite a tricky character to counter, especially with essentially her invisible mines that you can't destroy. The fact that she runs around the map doing sometimes nothing but being just completely annoying, she has some pretty obvious flaws that you can easily exploit. Now, some of her first direct counters are Wolverine. As always, he bullies every Vanguard regardless of the nerfs to him. Groot is alright because he can drop a wall underneath and instantly break it. Flying heroes such as Storm, Iron Man, and Human Torch, even Ultron, easily clear her mines and nests from above. You can also throw Punisher into the mix, or Winter Soldier just doing a ton of damage to a Vanguard. Because she has a rather large hitbox, you can easily delete her. Now, in terms of strategy, you mainly just want to be looking at, you want to learn common mine placements for ranked. You want smart predictions, honestly, will just keep you safe. Now, for Captain America, Cap is one of the hardest Vanguards to pin down. He thrives in chaos, brawling across the map with his shield to keep him alive, but he does have some weaknesses. For instance, the Thing, his double shift attack knocks Cap down, cutting off his mobility and leaving him exposed. Characters like Namor, who has his Coids, especially with the Gamma Squid, can easily lock Captain America down if he's going for some type of flank or some type of flank route. A Psylocke or an Iron Fist can mark the Cap and kind of chase him around, forcing the Captain America to not really do anything. And then of course we have Wolverine, who is the universal Vanguard shredder. You can throw in there, if you really wanted to, Scarlet Witch and Cloak, because they have auto tracking abilities that caps constant movement, so it is a counter but not the best. Flying heroes are a good option, mainly Storm. Can easily track him if he gets dived or is diving your team's backline. Using both her empowered E can easily chunk him out. Now, when it comes to strategy, you want to break his shield as soon as possible. It's his main survival tool. Cap thrives in 1v1s, but struggles against crowd control and focus fire. You kind of want to think of him as a monkey bomb from Call of Duty Zombies. He distracts, runs, and soaks pressure. You don't want to trace him too hard, just pressure him until he leaves the fight. And if he's diving your backline, you want to immediately turn around as fast as possible to get that nuisance out of your backline. Whether it's forcing him out of position, wasting cooldowns, or just flat out getting the pick or elimination on him, that's all great strategy, and that's how to get around Captain America. Now we come to Venom. And Venom's strengths come from perfectly timing his abilities and sustaining through fights. If you disrupt his rhythm, he easily crumbles. Now, when it first comes to direct counters for this character, you think of Emma Frost, who can grab Venom out of his ultimate, if correctly timed, and just grab him and do a ton of burst damage. You also think of characters like Punisher, who can shred down his massive HP bar and his shotgun. You also think of characters like Psylocke, like Star-Lord. You can even throw Wolverine in there, Iron Fist, to mark the character, do a ton of damage to him because he has such a big hitbox, especially for a character like Winter Soldier. And you want to be using characters that have any form of crowd control effects. Whether it's a freeze, a stun, a sleep, a hook, a knockup, a root, any of those are going to be perfect for getting rid of Venom in your backline. You have to remember, Venom's swing is his lifeline. If it's on a cooldown, he's free. You want to burn him down fast and don't give him time to heal or reset. Crowd control and burst damage is the formula for shutting him down. Now we move on to the Boulder himself. The Thing is a bruiser tank who feels nearly unstoppable, but just like the rest, he has exploitable weaknesses. So some of the best counters for this character have to be Wolverine, although he cannot kidnap, the Thing or the Thong. Their percentage base damage ignores their giant health pool and easily shreds it down. Characters like Punisher and Winter Soldier, who have a ton of ammo and can deal a ton of damage, can easily shred him down. You can also throw a character in like Star-Lord if you really wanted to. You can easily shred him down as well. But you have to remember the Thing is immune to displacement crowd control effects, but not to roots, freezes, webs, or sleeps. Characters like Luna Snow, Mantis, and Peni Parker can slow him down. The best approach to countering this character in terms of strategy is constant pressure. You don't want to give him breathing room, you want to force him to burn cooldowns and chip away until he cracks. Now we come to Dame Mami Frost, or Emma Frost for short. She is one of the trickiest Vanguards to counter. Her diamond form gives her insane durability, and her crowd control can flip fights instantly. But that being said, she's not untouchable. One of the best and biggest counters has to be Wolverine, although you have to wait until she uses her diamond form. That is a major cooldown, so after using that, you can easily chew through her, especially with that sustained pressure. Now, following that, in my personal opinion, flying characters is one way to counter Emma Frost. She doesn't necessarily have infinite range, it's a little hard, but you can get the job done with Storm, Human Torch, or even Iron Man if you wanted to throw that in as well. And you also want to think about characters that are going to be breaking line of sight from her and the rest of her team. I like to throw Groot into the counter mix because Groot can wall off Emma Frost and break her LOS from her own healers and make her stuck, especially in tight chokes or tight corridors. In my personal opinion, that's definitely one way to go about. Now, in terms of strategy, you don't want to waste burst damage when she's in diamond form. You want to save your abilities for when it ends. Of course, you want to focus fire her before or after diamond form, not during it. Also, peel for your backline. Emma thrives when left unchecked in close range, so keeping her at arm's length is the key to surviving her pressure. And that's essentially how you counter all of the Vanguards currently in Season 3.5 of Marvel Rivals. Hey you! Yes, you. Are you looking for some Marvel Rivals coaching? I partnered up again with Gosu Academy. If you're looking for the secret code to dominate Marvel Rivals, with live lessons, access to pro players, and scrim-based training, I guarantee you will rank up fast. And if you use my link in the description or by using the link on screen, you can get 30 days off of free coaching. And you can even get one-on-one coaching with myself. But that's enough about that, let's get back to the video. Moving on to our Duelist section, we start off with none other than Black Panther. Now, a skilled Black Panther can completely dismantle your team, but because of his hyper carry playstyle, he actually has a lot of weaknesses, whether you want to believe that or not. So first and foremost, our best counters. Look, Namor can be an option, but he isn't the best pick anymore. He is still a decent option for his turrets to track the Black Panther during his dives and constantly pressure him. But you do have to keep in mind that even though Namor is the counter to dive, he can be easily taken out as well. Now, like I said, Namor is a decent counter, but you want to pair it with other counters as well if the Black Panther is really giving you trouble. You can pair it up with Thing if you need to, or you could also pair it up with a character like Emma Frost, who's another great counter to Black Panther if you want to believe it or not. Following that, you can also throw Storm into the mix if you're honestly having a ton of trouble. With her empowered E, if the Black Panther is diving into your team, your E will proc and hit the Black Panther if he is within range. Now, Winter Soldier is also a counter. His hook and knockup can stop the Panther mid-dive, punishing his aggression. Now, if you're still having those types of issues, you can run a triple strategist setup, whether it's a Luna Snow, Loki, and Ultron. Pretty much playing a triple strategist, any two main strategists that you want to play, followed up by either a Ultron and an Atom is another way to counter. The second the Black Panther is diving into one of your backlines, you immediately drone someone as Ultron and press your right click. That totally negates all the damage the Black Panther is doing and can't one-shot the target, allowing you to completely destroy him because he's going to be out of cooldown and out of resets. Now, in terms of just raw strategy, like I said, triple strategist setup is a good strategy. You do want to be aware that he thrives on isolating characters and thrives on just getting in and getting out. So any character that's going to be displacing his movement or his mobility is another great option. With all that being said, if you're having trouble with Black Panther, Namor is not working, Storm's not working, anything's not working, just go 3 strategists with an Ultron. That's all you really need to do. So again, Luna, Loki, Ultron, or Invis, Cloak, Ultron, anything. Anything that involves Ultron will just completely make your life a ton better. Now, moving on to Black Widow, we have a sniper, we have the queen of anti-dive, we have the character that can pretty much do anything if played properly, believe it or not. So what is the best way to go around countering this character? Well, because she's so good at anti-dive, you can dive the character, but in order to do that, you have to have at least 2 characters diving her. Some of the best ways around this character I've found is a diving Psylocke with a Venom, a diving Psylocke with a Hulk. Any of those combinations typically work out in your own favor. You can either try to mirror Black Widow, or you can punish her with ranged heroes such as Hawkeye and Hela. So it takes 2 headshots for Hela, 1 fully charged shot of Hawkeye deletes her. That is certainly true. And you want to do your best to not give her long sightlines. You want to peek in and out of cover to break her rhythm. You want to respect her, but you don't want to fear her. Good widows demand caution, but if you never pressure her, she'll farm your entire team for free. So keep those in mind when you're fighting a Black Widow the next time. Moving on to Hawkeye, unlike Widow, Hawkeye isn't sneaky, he's just lethal from medium to long range. A single headshot can flip a fight. Now, some solid counter options are dive heroes. When you're diving a Hawkeye, you have to have 2 divers. Whether it's a Psylocke, again, kind of like Widow, a Psylocke, Venom, any of that order in comparison. Psylocke, Venom, Hulk, Venom, Psylocke, Hulk, any of those combinations can work getting rid of that character. He only has 1 get out of jail free card, I guess 2, the jump and the left shift, which the crescent slash where he knocks enemies away. But for the most part, most of the characters that are diving out have the option to re-engage instantly, unlike Hawkeye, who has to wait for those cooldowns to come back up to escape again. So if you're able to perform a successful duo dive, you can quickly eliminate that character. Another great counter to Hawkeye is Captain America. Captain America is this all in Hawkeye's face, bowling the absolute crap out of him with his shield and just punching him repeatedly. It will make the Hawkeye's life a living nightmare. Now again, just like Black Widow or any of the other ranged duelists, you want to respect line of sight, always keep cover between you and him, focus him first in team fights, and ignore it. Hawkeye racks up insane damage. If he misses a shot, you want to punish him. He's useless under pressure. And against his ultimate, just hide. You don't want to eagle peek a storm of arrows. Moving on to Hela, probably the most annoying character in this entire game because she deletes everybody essentially. Your best direct counters are Hulk. She just jumps straight in her face, disrupting her aim. You can also throw Magik into the mix as well, and you have other diving Vanguards as well. But in terms of strategy, you want to track her escape curl. Once it's down, she's stuck and easy to get rid of. And you don't want to give her uncontested angles. You want to close the gap or force her to reposition. The character thrives in pretty much every scenario. The more pressure you apply to her is always going to be the better outcome for you and your team. Now, when it comes to Iron Fist, countering this character can be a complete nightmare. For the most part, you just want to focus fire this character down. He has a parry that lasts for 1 second, and on cooldown, it has a 15-second timer. So your window is, the second he starts blocking, do not, and I mean do not shoot at this character whatsoever. It lasts for 1 second. Then, after the block is gone, you have a 15-second window to burst all your damage into him. At this time, you want to be using any form of crowd control, whether it's a freeze, a stun, a root, a sleep, a knock-up, a hook, any of those will completely dismantle this character. For the most part, this character excels at 1v1 scenarios, but folds under team focus and team fire. So you want your strategists to be playing next to each other. You want your peel tank in an appropriate location to where he can peel if need be to jump onto the Iron Fist. So moving down the list to Iron Man. So Iron Man's strength is sustained fight and beam pressure, so left unchecked, he easily farms. Your best counters are going to be hit scan heroes. Again, Hela, Punisher, Hawkeye, Star-Lord. They melt flying heroes instantly. Magneto, you can easily absorb Iron Man's ult and shield his team. Scarlet Witch can be thrown into the mix as well because her kit does in fact destroy flyers, but not the best pick overall. I would rather you go for a hit scan pick. So the whole premise is strategy, and what we're looking at strategy is the second you see him use his overdrive or his gamma ability, the ability that gets him the overshield that does more damage, that's his damage spike. So when you do that, you want to just take a step back. Kinda, you want to use that as a big ability cooldown, kind of like Loki runes or Magneto bubble, Emma Frost diamond form. The second he pops that gamma or that armor overdrive, you just take a step back out of that kill pressure, out of that kill distance, so that he can get no value. Moving on to Magik. Now she can easily control games if she snowballs. She's a dive brawl specialist, and can be completely annoying to deal with. Your best direct counters are going to be characters like Peni Parker, Namor, Mantis, and Luna Snow to freeze and sleep her while in her ultimate or anything like that. Magik does not play well into Hawkeye. Sometimes Hawkeye can easily delete a Magik in ultimate or just do insane amount of damage to her and pressure her a ton. You also have characters like Winter Soldier if you want to throw that in there as well. But for the most part, the whole point of dealing with Magik is keeping your distance and making sure she can't close the gap onto you easily and effectively. So again, when it comes to strategy, you don't want to let her isolate anybody. You want to group up, deny her 1v1s, and focus her fast before she stacks her passive with her overhealth. Now, Moon Knight can be tricky, but he's extremely fragile once you know his weaknesses. Your best counters are going to be characters like Black Panther, who outruns and outdamages him. Star-Lord keeps a distance and forces Moon Knight to miss. Hela quick bursts and CC deletes him. You also have any of the flying duelists, any of the ranged duelists for the most part. All are great counters to Moon Knight. In terms of strategy, you want to destroy his Onk as fast as possible. Half his damage essentially comes from it, and you want to spread out. He thrives when enemies clump up together. Now, he does in fact counter Loki. However, if the Loki is playing smart, the Moon Knight won't have an insane amount of value on top of the Loki if you spread your clones out appropriately. But that's essentially how you can easily shut down a Moon Knight from destroying you in game. Sometimes, especially right now, playing against a Namor feels incredibly difficult, because you have to think he's a great counter to a lot of the characters in this game. Some of the best direct hero counters are characters like Moon Knight, his bouncing basics clear turrets quickly. Yes, that is true. You also have characters like Punisher and Winter Soldier who shred the turrets with raw DPS and have the splash damage for Winter Soldier that can destroy it. You also have Hela who destroys turrets while pressuring Namor himself. For strategy counters, if Luna Snow's banned, Namor becomes far less oppressive since he loses the damage boost from Luna. It's still effective even though it was slightly nerfed. Now, of course, you always want to focus his turrets first. They're his entire kit and entire source of damage. Following that, you want to time his cooldowns. The second he uses his Blessing of the Deep ability, which is the bubble, you want to attack him then. Use your cooldowns then. He doesn't have survivability for a lot of the abilities in the game. The faster you get this ability out, the easier it is to get rid of him. Now, moving on to Psylocke. Psylocke is probably one of, if not the best duelists currently in the game, especially with the Emma Frost team up. Her dashes and combos in Ultimate can wipe teams in a second, but she does have some pretty clear weaknesses. For instance, Namor. Now, Namor is alright. The whole purpose of Namor is putting the squid down, and then when she comes out of Invis and she's in your backline, it marks her. This means, oh, there's a Psylocke behind me. My team and myself should probably turn around and deal with her. That's the whole job. It's essentially, Namor is a CCTV camera watching for the burglar to come into the house. Characters such as Phoenix and Emma Frost are great counters as well, with the stun and the ability to burst her down quickly, especially Emma Frost's diamond form, grab, kick into the wall, and you shred her instantly. Now, again, she's one of those characters that you don't want to let her isolate you. She wins most 1v1s, if not probably all 1v1s in general. Something to also keep in mind is when she's using her ultimate, try to stack inside the ultimate as a team, all 6 of you, so that the damage is spread. She's going to be doing less damage essentially to you, because the more people are inside it, the more the damage is spread around. So it's a great option to stack or have 2 strategists inside of her ultimate, just healing each other. You don't have to worry about anything else. Moving straight along, we come to Punisher. Now, Punisher is simple but dangerous if left alone. Your best counters are Captain America and Magneto. It's Captain America getting to the backline, being a nuisance to him. And then Magneto, you want to block or absorb his bullets in his ultimate. You want to think about characters like Psylocke who can get behind Punisher and essentially one-tap him in a second. For the most part, you want to pick characters that are annoying to him. You could think of Hawkeye, one-shot him inside of his ultimate. Hela outranges him a little bit in terms of damage. Phoenix, who is obviously an amazing character right now. But those are essentially your best counters in terms of characters. For strategy, you want to kill his turret fast. Without it, his DPS drops heavily. And of course, you want to be watching for his shotgun. You want to respect the close range burst. After that, it's as gone as good. as good as gone, whatever the term is. He's a pretty easy character to counter. He's not in the best position right now because there's so many other DPS and characters that outshine him currently, but definitely can be a nuisance if left unchecked, of course. Now coming on to Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is inconsistent. Some swear by her, others think she's weak, and she lives and dies by her cooldowns. Now, her best counters, for the most part, are going to be your ranged duelists. Punisher, Hela, Hawkeye, Psylocke. Psylocke, although not long range, medium to close range, can instantly delete her. The character just isn't the best, so she's not really played, so there's not many options to play around her. Those are the characters you want to keep in mind when you're trying to counter her, however. In terms of strategy, you want to track her 2 fades, so once those are burned, she's essentially a sitting duck. And then against her ultimate, you either shred her quickly, use any form of crowd control ability, or literally just stand behind some piece of cover. Literally, the smallest piece of cover will keep you alive. That one little textbook that you got back in high school, yeah, that's going to protect you. Biology 101, yep, you're perfectly fine. Now, moving right along to Spider-Man. He's one of the most popular duelists, but he's very punishable. The best counters, of course, is going to be Namor. Look, the turrets track his swings and force him out of a lot of positions, make it super uncomfortable for the Spider-Man to really do anything. Another great counter is Hela. Believe it or not, the sniper is probably the best anti-Spider-Man character in the entire game. The Spider-Man dives on you, Hela presses E and 2 taps you. That's the whole story. Following that, any crowd control heroes. So heroes with roots, freezes, hooks, stuns, he hates crowd control. Emma Frost grabbing him out of mid-ult, Thing being annoying. Any of these characters are great counters. Honestly, Psylocke, another fantastic counter. The character is literally the best character in the entire game, essentially, so might as well pick that character up and learn it. In terms of strategy, the whole idea around Spider-Man, for the most part, when going against Vanguards, is pulling the Vanguard off the map. So when it comes to those certain maps, you want to don't fight near the edges. Good Spideys look for those environmental kills. Position yourself between a wall. If you can't, I don't know, pray that he misses, but for the most part, try to keep a barrier between you, Spider-Man, and the outer world. Following that, we come to Squirrel Girl. Look, now Squirrel Girl is rather annoying because of her raw DPS output, but she's also very squishy. For the most part, your best counters for her are going to be Magneto and Doctor Strange. Flyers such as Storm, Iron Man, Human Torch that can dodge the shots while melting her. Psylocke, one combo deletes the character. Punisher, a lot of these ranged duelists will just outrange her. Yes, you have to be aware of the acorns or the nuts she's sending at you, but you can dodge them, so that is something to always keep in mind. Now, in terms of strategy, something you have to remember that a lot of players forget is her ultimate. It has a health bar. You want to shoot it. This means you can destroy it. You want to focus down immediately before it takes over a fight. Now, if it seems like I'm going through this list a little faster, it's because you don't need a ton of depth to be able to counter all these characters. Once you get a good general sense of what characters do well into a matchup, it's so easy to counter the character. But moving on to Star-Lord, he is a very decent DPS in the game currently. He has sustained damage and has hypermobility. Some of the best counters for this character are hit scan heroes. Hela, you can throw Phoenix into the mix if you want to. In my opinion, Punisher, Hawkeye are all decent counters of just being an absolute bully to this character. There's not a lot of instances where you're picking up Star-Lord currently in Season 3.5 because it doesn't flow that well in the current meta, but for the most part, those are the characters you want to keep in mind, those hit scan characters. In terms of strategy, you want to mess with his mobility. Displacement, roots, slows, stuns, anything of those ruins him, and you don't want to let him free fire. He thrives on long uptime, so the faster you push him out of angles, push him out of high ground, push him out of flying, the more opportunity you're going to have to completely dismantle him. Now, moving on to Storm, who used to be one of the best duelists in my opinion, she still is pretty good with her AoE damage boost and AoE speed for the team. However, there's a lot of counters in the game for that now. Hit scans. Hela, Phoenix, Punisher, Star-Lord, Winter Soldier. You can throw Hawkeye into the mix if you really wanted to. You can even throw Namor in with his squids. For the most part, there's a lot of counters to her, so she's rarely played now. In terms of strategy, if you are playing against a Storm, her ultimate is predictable. You want to spread out heal it, or focus her down during the channel. You can also keep her pressured, and she can't do much if forced off of angles. Continuously shooting at her, poking at her, when she's ulting, shredding her, and healing each other up. That's how you shut down Storm. Pretty straightforward. Now, Winter Soldier, he used to be one of the strongest duelists in the game. I mean, no changes were made to him. In my opinion, he's still a great duelist. But in terms of the meta in Season 3.5, it's a little bit interesting. He isn't played as much in comparison to Phoenix or Psylocke. That seems the meta duelist. But for right now, in terms of the best counters, any defensive ult really denies his resets. You want to keep him playing at range. Characters like Hela, Phoenix, Psylocke. Look, Psylocke is an all-around great counter. Then you also have Punisher, who at range can shred him down. Again, Hawkeye as well. Any character that maintains range over him usually is going to be coming out as the victor, meaning due to the fact that those are hit scan heroes. Winter Soldier is a little bit of a projectile hero, but for the most part, those are the counters. Now, in terms of strategy, when Winter Soldier is ulting and you're playing as Loki, you want to place your cones by you if you're not in the fight, or if you die early, respawn, he's still ulting. Make sure all 3 of your clones are by you, not where the buggy can use it to get a reset. A lot of times, Loki players don't replace their clones, and the Winter Soldier just keeps getting reset after reset after reset, so always try to reposition them so they're out of his line of sight, or out of position to where he has to overextend to go for it and might end up getting eliminated for it. Then of course you always want to track his cooldowns, whether it's the hook or the uppercut. If you disrupt him mid combos, he easily collapses. And moving on to Wolverine, typically what you want to do is triple support comms. They out heal his dives. Namor is also a good pick at just being a nuisance to the character. Psylocke again, burst plus small, crowd control makes his life a living hell. Hela and Phoenix are also great one-to-one counters. If all else fails, you could go Emma Frost and the Thing. You won't get a ton of value on those 2 Vanguards. In terms of strategies, you want to track his passive second line. Once it's burned, he's vulnerable for a very long time. And of course, crowd controlling him before he starts shredding is a match made in heaven when you're trying to keep yourself alive and out of the fight with him. So you don't want to let him really charge up those claws. Moving on to Mr. Fantastic, he's one of the tankier duelists if played well. The best counters are usually Punisher with his shotgun and Punisher in general. Huge DPS melts his HP. Wolverine can proc his passive when he's in his inflated form. Honestly, Squirrel Girl is another decent pick in my opinion. Locks him down with CC while bursting. Storm and Star-Lord, sustained range damage. Then for strategies or counters, you don't want to let him inflate. That's his power spike. And you want to hit him from behind. Now, moving on to the Human Torch. Most of the time, this character is banned if you're playing ranked, so you don't necessarily have to worry about it. But if you're playing quick play or in the lower ranks, or he somehow, wiggles his way through the ban phase, straightforward, he's insanely strong. He's super dangerous. Your best counters are going to be hit scan heroes. It's extremely hard to hit a Human Torch flying in the air. So a lot of the hit scan heroes, you have to have the right person on your team that has the right aim. It's impossible to hit a Human Torch if he knows how to move properly. These are things to keep in mind. If all else fails, you can't find a way to counter him, you go triple strategist, unfortunately. You have to try to out-sustain and outlive him. In terms of strategy counters, you don't let him free fly. You want to force him down as often as possible, whether it's Invisible Woman's gravitational surge or whatever, the shift to knock him down, Winter Soldier's E, or any other abilities that is going to be knocking him down. Those are going to be your best ways to keep him grounded and keep the DPS flowing onto him. Now, moving on to our quote-unquote newer DPS in Season 3 is Phoenix. Now, Phoenix is insane. The character is amazing. She's honestly better than Hela in my opinion. She's a Hela with more utility and more ability to play for her team and for herself. The best counters for this character literally is Psylocke, because she does an insane amount of burst damage. Another Phoenix, so a mirrored Phoenix fight, or Hela, where Hela can 2-tap Phoenix. Phoenix can sort of 2-tap, but you have to add in the right click to do more damage or an extra shot. So in theory, Hela can 2-tap her, but the Phoenix most of the time usually comes out on top of that fight. It's unfortunate that the character has everything in the game built around her. She has a stun, she has an escape, she has self-healing, she has flight, she has everything. So you just need to focus her down, pressure her, make her uncomfortable as best as possible. Now for her ultimate, a lot of players need to learn that you can shoot her ultimate when it's flying down. You have to shoot it as quickly as possible, because that paired with a mag ult or paired up with a Luna Snow damage boost will absolutely obliterate your team. So being able to destroy that, it has 400 HP, although the hitbox is on the smaller side in comparison to Hela ult or any of the other flying ults in the game. Getting it destroyed as quickly as possible is the best outcome for you and your team, and it's a really solid counter to her. Now last but certainly not least is Blade. Arriving in Season 3.5, or he already arrived in Season 3.5, he's a versatile melee DPS who thrives on sustained fights and mobility. But however, when he was introduced in Season 3.5, he's not really good. He's on the weaker side, and in my opinion, when it comes to countering this character, it's essentially the same as countering a Magik player. That's using characters like Namor, trying to maintain that distance from him, using characters like Hawkeye. I mean, to be honest, the character's just not good. He's never played, he's never talked about, because people literally just don't play the character. Look, he's a very cool character. A very cool character design. His kit's awesome. His numbers just have to be heavily increased for him to be really impactful. But for that being said, I'm glad that they introduced him on the weaker side, because I feel like if they introduced him on the more overpowered side, the character would completely dominate lobbies because of the healing reduction. But for the most part, you want to keep your distance. Blade struggles if he can't engage quickly. You want to focus him down as quickly as possible, and you want to avoid letting him chain multiple targets, so you want to isolate him with crowd control or some type of terrain. Most of the time, or most of the cases for melee DPS, because they're up in your face doing burst damage, crowd control is always going to be the best option of trying to keep them under control or keeping them on a leash. Whether it's some sort of freeze, stun, sleep displacement, or anything like that. But anyways, that's how you counter all of the duelists in Marvel Rivals Season 3.5. Don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Now we move on to our strategist section, starting off with Adam Warlock. So kicking off Adam Warlock, he's primarily a duelist who excels in sustained fights and healing support. He's a duelist with some healing, let's be honest. Now, high damage ultimates, so Winter Soldier, Punisher, Psylocke can interrupt his ultimate and burn through his healing. I wouldn't recommend doing isolation because he will usually win most 1v1 scenarios unless it's a Psylocke with the Emma team up. He has very low mobility, so you can easily catch him off guard with dive or range DPS characters. In terms of strategy, you want to force Adam to use Soul Bond early to deplete his survivability. After using Soul Bond, that's when you go in. Then you want to focus him down quickly after he uses his defensive ability, which is his shift and his finger snaps, or his soul bond and his avatar livestream, which is his healing. And you always want to apply consistent pressure to prevent him from getting an insane amount of healing off. And of course, always track him when he goes into his resurrection or his soul period. So that is, so if he goes in reses, you can easily know where he's resing from and get that early jump onto him. Moving on, we have Cloak and Dagger. Now, the key counters to this character are characters like Magneto. His Meatballs or Meteor M, his ultimate ability, can easily interrupt and destroy their ultimate. You want to get that Meteor M ready to go on the third dash, so you have it for when she lands the fourth dash, or you can send it early and try to hit a protected shot. Of course, not the end of the world. For the most part, you want really fast burst DPS. This is Psylocke, Magik, or even Hawkeye, who can quickly headshot her even during the ultimate phase. Characters that will quickly burst her down, because the second she's able to get that dagger, storm down the healing orb, she is practically unkillable and untouchable. Now, in terms of strategy, you want to wait for the dismiss ability on Cloak's form, the right click that makes them invulnerable for a certain amount of time. Once that expires, you then want to commit all of your resources, because that's on a rather long cooldown. You also want to focus on crowd control and burst damage to prevent the ultimate getting a ton of healing. Most of the times, from what I've played, is after the Cloak and Dagger uses the fourth dash of the ultimate, a Doctor Strange on a team that has ultimate will solo ult the Cloak and Dagger to quickly get rid of her, and so that healing from the ultimate is no longer. Moving on, when it comes to Jeff, or what I like to call JOFF, his key counters are characters like a Psylocke. Fast burst combos can eliminate Jeff instantly. When Jeff is underground, you can use characters like Iron Man to nuke him with the ultimate. For the most part, he is rather difficult to kill. That's why when you trying to get rid of him when he uses his ultimate, you think of those big ultimates that will quickly eliminate him. So again, Psylocke to get the isolated kill on him, Iron Man's ultimate, Storm's ultimate, Magneto's ultimate. You could throw Winter Soldier in there if you wanted to. That's pretty much the gist of it. In terms of strategy, you typically want to avoid chasing him blindly because Jeff's main role is to really just distract you, be constantly moving and be constantly annoying, and you want to focus on supporting your own team while he draws attention. Moving on, we come to Loki. So the key counters are typically some flank duelists. I think Psylocke is always a solid counter just because the character is super strong, especially right now. Any flying heroes, in my opinion, are also great counters because Loki is a projectile-based character. Typically, you can avoid the projectiles while you're flying around, but that's not always the case if the Loki can somehow aim on you perfectly. But yeah, flying characters are good. I say Star-Lord mainly for the fact that he can go into your team, or he goes into the clones and you spin with the E. You can destroy the lamps, you can destroy the clones with that E ability. It didn't easily use your ult there. Winter Soldier, playing Winter Soldier into Loki is always a fun experience because the Winter Soldier will get resets on Loki's clones and you can continue his ultimate again and again and again. But when it comes to strategy when facing a Loki, the key strategy is to destroy the runes the second they go up. The second he's getting use out of those runes, destroy it as much as possible. Also, his clones. Instantly destroy his clones as fast as possible, just like his runes. The less clones he has on the field, the less healing and less damage he's going to be doing to you and the rest of his team and your team. So it's always a good option. Again, there's a billion other counters for a lot of the characters that I've named off. I'm only touching on the big major ones. You can let me know what your own counters or own tricks are in the comments down below. Now, moving on, we have Luna Snow. Now, this character, for whatever reason, honestly, she should be a duelist at this point. She does an insane amount of damage, insane amount of healing. Her ultimate is insane. She gets an overshield with her right click. So how do we counter her? Well, Psylocke is probably one of the best counters. And another counter is Magneto with his meter M onto her when she's using her ultimate, especially paired up with a Phoenix ultimate. This completely removes the shield, puts the Luna Snow pretty much on 1 HP, and the Magneto can just follow up with a non-charged Meteor M to quickly get rid of her. But for the most part, that's really about it. In terms of strategy, the biggest things you want to keep in mind is when she uses her Ice Clap healing ability and when she uses her Freeze. Once both of those are gone, she is more diveable than when she was previously. But again, diving a Luna Snow, regardless if she has those abilities up, is pretty scary because the character does an insane amount of damage if she knows how to aim right. So for the most part, if you're trying to dive a Luna Snow, go in sets of 2. That's typically how you dive characters like that. Diving in sets of 2 is always going to be a better outcome than diving by one person. Moving down the list, we come to Rocket Raccoon. Now, for Rocket Raccoon, some of his counters are, Scarlet Witch, in my opinion, maybe Namor, because it does superior tracking and turret destruction. Moon Knight, one-shot combo shuts him down and can quickly eliminate his ultimate, especially as well. Squirrel Girl is also another good idea, and any flying hero or flanking duelist, all you have to do is destroy his BRB beacon and you're perfectly fine. Now when it comes to Invisible Woman, Psylocke, Magik, or burst combos prevent her from going invisible. Spider-Man with fast aggressive plays can lock her down. Squirrel Girl makes stunts and allows easy follow-up damage. A lot of characters counter Invisible Woman, but the things you want to keep in mind is you want to track her positioning carefully, and Magneto ultimate can counter her ultimate if timed correctly. All you have to do is listen for footsteps and you can easily track Invisible Woman. For Mantis, key counters are Hela, Hawkeye, Winter Soldier, strong burst to punish overextensions. Magik can do the one-shot combo that can eliminate her quickly. Doctor Strange can ult the ulting Mantis and completely nuke her, so that ultimate is gone. You want to bait out sleep ability before the committing, and you want to focus on positioning and capitalize over when she overextends. Typically played rather fast, kind of like a duelist or so. Those are the biggest things you want to keep in mind. Now last, but certainly not least, we have Ultron. Now the biggest counters I find for Ultron are Punisher, mainly because Ultron has a semi-big hitbox. Punisher can get a little value from that. Star-Lord, so when Ultron ults, the Star-Lord ults and it's a complete counter in my opinion. Following that, you also have characters like Hela, like Phoenix, and those are the big issues. The hit scanning characters for a flying character seems pretty solid. But for the most part, when it comes to facing Ultron in terms of strategy, you want to pick him off as quickly as possible. He's typically your main priority target. The faster you can get rid of Ultron, the faster you're going to get rid of the drone and the ability that keeps the dive from stopping or keeps dive from working. The faster you work on getting rid of the Ultron, the faster you're going to be able to dive the rest of the enemy team's backline. And that's essentially how you counter every single hero in Marvel Rivals for Season 3.5. If this video has helped you in any way, shape, or form, do me a favor, hit that like button, and make sure to subscribe for more content that you won't see anywhere else. But with that being said, I hope you have a great and safe day, and I'll catch you in the next one.